So no one thought that it would be Meta that would be the one to make VR open for everyone. Hey, it's Jamie, and we're going to be looking at some news about the new update from Meta, which is the Horizon operating system. Now, first of all, if I look a bit different, I'm not changing my avatar. I'm just not able to set up my VR right now because I'm in the middle of moving some things, so I can't really record from VR chat, so I'm just using my VTuber setup from my other channel. But next time I'll be back to my normal, avatar that you recognize. So Meta made a few updates in the recent blog posts, and generally they're actually quite positive. The first thing that they did was they announced that the store is going to be more open and easier to add apps to it. In a video a while back where Mark Zuckerberg was talking about the Meta Quest versus the Apple Vision Pro, one of the things that he said was that the Quest platform was going to be the open platform and the Apple Vision Pro platform is going to be more of a closed ecosystem. And I'm pretty sure most of us thought, okay, but how open can you really do? This is Meta after all. But one of the first things that they're doing is they're making the App Store easier to add apps and games to with less restrictions. As well, they're not going to have the separate app lab like they had before, which was a separate place where your games could be put into when you want to submit them, but then they could kind of go into like development hell and never get out of there. So they're getting rid of the app lab and just going to have it all on the App Store where it's easy to access and anyone can find things. So that in itself is a really nice update that will make things a lot easier for developers to make games and a better incentive for them to start developing things for the Quest platform. But the other thing that's actually a big deal is that the Meta operating system for Quest is changing to Horizon OS, which Meta Horizon, we all know at least what that was supposed to be, but now they're kind of changing the whole platform name to just Horizon. So now the app on your phone is going to be called the Meta Horizon app. The operating system for the Quest is going to be called Horizon OS, and they're going to license this out. And that's actually a really big deal. One of the biggest things that makes it hard for developers to make things for VR, other than just making the hardware for a headset, is the software. The operating system, the tracking algorithms, everything like that, and then also what's available on their stores. Developers for games can get kind of spread thin if they're trying to develop for a whole bunch of different platforms. And that's one of the reasons that something like Quest is so successful. Everyone wants to develop for that because it's a popular platform. But then when it comes to other standalone headsets, even Apple Vision Pro or the Pimax store, Pico store, or the HTC standalone store, most of those have to be modified or ported to make it work on that headset. And that's something that kind of holds some developers back. As well, a lot of very popular games are exclusive to the Quest. So what Meta's doing is they're opening the operating system to other developers to license. This means that companies can just make a headset however they like, and apparently doesn't have to follow strict Meta rules. It can still have its own features, like it can be stripped down, it can have wider field of view, more PC gaming focused settings, or different things like that, but then it will still have full access to the Meta operating system, the support, and the whole library of games and apps. And that's probably the biggest thing that will really push this forward. For a company to be able to make a headset however they like, and then instantly have the full catalog of games and apps that are made for the Quest, is a real big push that can really push this forward. Google was planning to do this, and I think they are still trying to, but I think that since Meta already has such a huge reputation and a huge library, this will really push things forward. It seems that they're working with companies right now, like they're making an Xbox version of the Quest, which may also ship with an Xbox controller, so you can play Xbox streaming games. It's set up straight for that. They're also going to be making one with Asus ROG, which apparently might have more PC-focused gaming features, and then some others like Lenovo, which might focus more on just content viewing. And that's all good and all, but I'm really interested in how something like Pico might deal with this. Now, right now, they aren't one of the stated companies that's working with Meta on this, but if this goes forward and Meta does open this platform more, it would be interesting to see something like Pico that uses the Horizon operating system, since Pico makes really good headsets. It's just software side, they don't have very much support in games. But in other ways, Pico is like, you like the Quest? Well, let's make a Quest that has a dedicated display port to connect to your computer. Or you like the Quest 3, but let's make it also have face tracking. So things like that is what Pico does, and this is a perfect platform, I think, for a company like that to work with Meta in this way. I think this is also quite a good business plan for Meta as well, because the headsets are sold at cost for them. They're not making money on the headsets, and they get their money from the software side. So by licensing their software out to other companies, they'll start to get that sort of revenue in from them as well. It's pretty much the same idea as the Windows platform, where companies can make their own computers and then you put Windows on it and Microsoft kind of gets it that way. So this is a really good move, I think. And just putting aside the whole, Meta thing, I'm not a big fan of Meta themselves, but it's kind of hard to deny what they've done for VR and how this may push things forward even more. Someone who did have some comments about this was actually John Carmack, which he had some positive things to say, but there was some criticisms about it. Was that by opening this up to other companies, Meta might be sort of fighting with themselves because other companies will start making headsets, and it may take away from Meta to be able to keep the reputation with the Quest. They'll have to start doing more experimental things to keep the Quest as the top product. And while I can see that, I can also see a future where Meta eventually just stops making headsets, or at least stops being the main headset manufacturer. And instead, they may find a reliable third party that they can partner with to make the actual Quest headset, and Meta will just focus on the software side and still continue with like experimental development for VR headsets. But I think that their eventual game plan may be to stop being the headset manufacturer and just focus more on software, which that can work too. This is all too soon to really say. They can go either way. But overall, I think this is actually quite a good move for them. And it may even further help to push VR to a wider audience and give people more headset options that will actually be usable and something that people want. Like, I know for me, I love the Quest 3, but I just wish that it had face tracking. But then if you have a company that comes along and takes that same sort of platform, but then adds face tracking, maybe some wider field of view or better screens, it may be a very appealing system to use. So opening this up to more companies to use is exciting to me, and I really do want to see where this goes.